So here I'm getting ready to pull the power head. That's the last phase of the mechanical on this motor. Put a new gear shift lever in it. It's not that big a deal, but you know, you gotta do it, you gotta do it. That's what I always say. Okay, so let me get it off and the new one on there and I'll show you. Put the gear shift lever in, pretty straightforward, and I just put the power head in place. So now I gotta bolt it down. What did I do? Yeah, it's pretty simple taking the power heads off. The hardest part is sometimes if you got a saltwater area motor, it's hard to get the bolts off underneath, you know. They're 5/16, and sometimes they strip or they just rust away, and you got to deal with getting out bolts that are rusted away. A lot of times I'll use a metric socket, smack it on there, and I'll get them out. And heat too. Back one in the middle was tough getting out. I had to heat it up. All the other ones came right out easy. I use a long extension, 1/4" drive extension, and a 5/16 socket. Okay, so now I'm going to bolt the bolts on it, bolt it back together and run it and make sure everything shifts nice. And I just put oil in the lower ends, got new grease in it. So new fuel pump too. The other fuel pump was no good. And we'll take it from there. Welcome back, folks. This is the final video of the 75 Johnson I got on Facebook Marketplace for free. I finished everything. I'm going to go through a list of what I did, about 16 items. This motor's in pretty bad shape when I got it. I'll just go through the list real quick and then I'll give you some more advice if you do decide to buy one of these on Facebook. I cleaned the carburetor. I replaced the gear shift lever. It was broke. Very common for these motors, and they're expensive to replace, so try not to break it if you do find a motor at one. I polished the points. I cleaned the plugs. I inspected the water pump. It was a plastic conversion pump. I also replaced the propeller bullet, the propeller bullet, you know, the screw-on nut, the shear pin and cotter pin. That was all missing, along with the cover. So I replaced all that. The first thing I did was took the pull starter apart because it was stuck, corroded, frozen. I just simply removed it and greased it up with some lithium grease and got that working really good. The cord was in good shape. I did cut one of the transom clamps off on the right side. What I do is I cut it with a cutting wheel flush and I just drill it to tap size. And of course you got to replace the threaded part and the handle. I did all that. At least there was only one. One was still free, so that was a good thing. I also replaced the gear oil. There was no oil in the gear case at all. I pressure tested the gear case before I took it apart. There was no air leaks or water leaks into the gear case. The only thing I replaced was the spaghetti seal when I put it back together, and you've seen that in the past video. And it pressure tested good again. I detailed the power head. Basically, I take some WD-40 and I spray it all over the block. Then I just blow it off lightly with air and wipe it down a little bit. Just gets rid of that salty, cruddy powder from the salt, the residue. And the first time I started, I used some Scotch-Brite and I carefully polished the flywheel. I replaced the fuel pump. The old fuel pump was no good. And I also put a brand new hood seal. And that was a chore. Probably that was the hardest job on the motor. I was doing this stupid frickin', excuse my French, folks, but I even took the staples out, about 18 of them, by hand, straightened them out and reinstalled them. I could have just glued it on with adhesive, but I said, nah, let me try putting the staples on. I don't think I'll ever do it again, or maybe it just takes more practice. The more you do, the better you get at it. But I decided, for now, I'm okay. I do have one more motor to do. But the main problem with the seal, with the staples, let me find the staple. The staple on my pad when I was reading the list and it fell on the ground. I wanted to show you the staple. What they are is stainless steel and they're heat treated and they're 50 thousandths thick. They're like overkill. They never wanted these seals to fall off, I guess. So I guess that's why they used the staples. Now, years ago, I used one of those staple machines for doing ductwork, putting insulation inside the ductwork. Same machine. Wire fed, the wire's on a reel, and you just go with the foot pedal, boom, 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 and you put the staples on. So, but anyway, I did that and cleaned up the motor. I did paint this with some Johnson gold paint I had, a goldish green, whatever color you want to call it. I bought it from online, and now I'm just going to start it and run it. Go through the mill here. You should get water flow within about 3 seconds, like you see. There's forward. Reverse. They're very quiet, these motors. That's why I like them. I've had a few of them through the years. So yesterday I was running the motor and I actually lost the footage on it. But with the old spark plugs, I couldn't get it to start once it was warmed. It took 2 or 3 pulls. Sometimes I even had to pull the choke out. So I put a set of NGKs in there and it runs much better. Night and day difference. I had J6s in there. I think the motor uses J4s, but I have to double check on that. But with the NGKs, it just runs totally different. So I would just strongly recommend putting new spark plugs in. Most people do anyway. It runs really good, and the other one's going to run just as good. I just know how they are. As long as the compression is up on them, they're great motors. Who could ask for more, really? Terrific motors. Another one off the list, folks. Great little motor, little 6-horse Johnson. And I'm going to start working on that next. In fact, I'm going to pull the flywheel and clean the points. It's the first thing I do. Clean the plugs that's in there. Well, actually took the NGKs out of there and put them in here. So I got to get a set of plugs for that. And then that's missing a propeller too. But at least it has a gear shift. And I believe one screw clamp is missing too. And the other one is stuck. So very close tolerance with the threads with those screw clamps, and they never had Zerk fittings on them. I always complain about that. They should put Zerk fittings you know, in here. You know, just put a Zerk fitting right here. But then again, people probably wouldn't grease it anyway. It would stay greased. So, so just as a conclusion on here, I'm gonna hop on the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and keep putting out content. I appreciate these new subscribers. I'm getting not too far from the 1,000 subscriber. When I first started doing this channel, I never thought about subscribers or views. I just did it for fun. So, but it's nice to get a little recognition through subscribers and views when you do something and you spend the time. But I'm going to let it go with that, and stay tuned for the next video, and thanks again for watching. I appreciate it. One more start for the road. Figure after all that work, might as well. Okay, there we go. Done. So I forgot to readjust the carburetor. Low speed. It was, in the previous clip, it was way out, so now it idles much better. About all she wrote. About one turn from all the way in, so. You want to make sure they idle. Just want to make sure they idle, especially when you shift. Plus this has the new gears. But I just wanted to show you that it does idle in about one turn on my low speed. Okay. Thanks again.